Admiral Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of Earth's largest space station, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. 50 years had passed since humans first met aliens from other worlds. At first, it seemed like a dream come true. The aliens welcomed Earth into something called the Galactic Council. They shared technology and promised protection. They said humans were special, creative, and useful. But today felt different. Today felt dangerous. "Sir, we're getting an emergency signal," said Captain Una Park, his second in command. She was young but smart, with eyes that missed nothing. "It's coming from the Council's main ship." Dae-ho nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The screen flickered and showed a creature that looked like living crystal. It was tall, maybe 9 feet, with sharp edges that caught the light. This was the Supreme Arbitrator, the most powerful being in the galaxy. When it spoke, its voice sounded like breaking glass. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I speak for the Galactic Council. We have made a decision about your species." Una moved closer to Dae-ho. Something in the alien's tone made her nervous. Around the bridge, other officers stopped their work to listen. "For 50 years, you have been junior members of our council. You have given us your inventions and your ideas. But now things must change. You humans grow too fast. You spread to too many worlds. You think in ways that worry us." The crystal being paused. Its body pulsed with cold light. "Therefore, the Council orders this. You will pay tribute. 60% of everything you make in your factories must come to us. 40% of your people will work for us as servants. All your warships and weapons will be given to Council forces. You have 30 of your days to agree." Dae-ho felt his blood turn cold. Around him, his crew stared in shock. "If you refuse," the alien continued, "we will take corrective action. The Council has decided. This message ends now." The screen went black. For a moment, nobody spoke. "Sir," Una whispered, "did they just demand we become slaves?" "It sounds like it," Dae-ho said quietly. His hands were shaking with anger, but he kept his voice calm. "Get me President Lee on secure channel. Priority 1. While Una worked, Dae-ho thought about what he'd just heard. The Council wanted more than half of everything humans made. They wanted nearly half of all people to work as servants. And they wanted Earth to have no way to defend itself. "Connection ready, sir." President Ji-woo Lee appeared on screen. She was in her office on Earth, but even from space, Dae-ho could see the worry on her face. "Admiral, did you get the same message we did?" "Yes, Madam President. The whole crew heard it. What are your orders?" Lee was quiet for a moment. "I'm calling an emergency meeting. All department heads, all military leaders, everyone. We need to understand what this really means." "With respect, ma'am, I think we understand perfectly. They want us to surrender. Maybe. Or maybe they're testing us. Either way, we need more information. What do we know about other species that paid tribute?" Dae-ho looked at Una. She was already working on her computer, pulling up files. "Captain Park is checking our records now." Una's face went pale as she read. "Sir, this is bad. Really bad. 3 other species paid tribute like this in the past. Within 200 years, all of them lost their freedom completely. They became worker races, slaves." President Lee heard this through the communication link. "That settles it. I'm ordering full military alert. Admiral Kim, I want every ship ready for action, every defense platform online, every weapon charged." "Yes, ma'am." "But President Lee, our fleet is small compared to theirs. If they decide to attack, then we'll show them what humans do when we're backed into a corner. We adapt. We fight. We win." After the call ended, Dae-ho walked to the big window. Again, in the distance he could see Earth blue and beautiful. 50 years ago, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Then the aliens came with promises of friendship and cooperation. "Sir," Una said, coming up beside him, "I've been thinking, why now? Why are they suddenly afraid of us?" "What do you mean?" "Well, look at what we've done in 50 years. We went from 1 world to colonies on 20 worlds. We took their technology and made it better. We solved problems they couldn't solve. Maybe they're not just worried about how fast we grow. Maybe they're worried about how smart we are. Deho nodded slowly. You might be right. In 50 years, we've gone from barely reaching our own moon to building ships that can cross the galaxy. We've taken every challenge they gave us and turned it into an opportunity, and now they want to stop us before we get too strong. The question is, are we already too strong for them to stop? On his computer, messages were coming in from all over human space. Defense fleets were moving into position. Weapons that had never been tested were being powered up. Scientists were working on projects they'd kept secret even from the Council. Captain Park, send a message to all human worlds. Tell them what happened here. Tell them to prepare for war. Sir, shouldn't we wait for the President's orders? The President will give the right orders. But our people need to know what's coming. They need time to get ready. As Yuna sent the message, alarms began ringing throughout the station. On the edge of human space, sensors were picking up something that made everyone's blood run cold. Huge alien fleets were moving toward Earth. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. The Council wasn't waiting 30 days. They were coming now. All hands battle stations, Deho announced over the station's communication system. This is not a drill, prepare for incoming hostiles. Through the window, he could see the first human warships moving to defend Earth. They were smaller than the alien ships, fewer in number, but they were fast and well-armed. More importantly, they were crewed by humans. And humans had something the Council had forgotten about in their 50 years of peace. Humans had the will to fight for their freedom, no matter the cost. Sir, Yuna reported. Message sent to all colonies. And sir, I'm getting responses already. Every human world is ready to fight. Deho smiled grimly. Then let's show the Council what happens when you threaten humanity. The stars around them seemed to grow brighter, as if they too were preparing for the battle to come. President Jiwoo Lee sat at the head of the Emergency Council table, looking at the faces of Earth's most important leaders. Everyone looked worried, but she could see something else in their eyes. Anger. The kind of anger that made humans dangerous. Thank you all for coming so quickly, she began. By now you've all heard the Council's demands. Before we make any decisions, I want to hear from our experts. Dr. Chang, what can you tell us about species that paid tribute before? Dr. Minseo Chang stood up. She was Earth's top expert on alien species, and she'd been studying Council records for days. Her news was not good. Madam President, I've studied 3 cases. The Kalari paid tribute 200 years ago. Today, they're barely allowed to think for themselves. The Zephyrians paid tribute 300 years ago. They're now nothing more than workers in alien mines. The Rothans paid tribute 400 years ago. Their entire species was moved to work camps. The room was quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. So this isn't really about tribute, said General Timon Seo. This is about making us slaves. That's exactly right, Dr. Chang replied. The tribute is just the first step. Once a species agrees, the Council slowly takes more and more control. Within 50 to 100 years, the species has no freedom left at all. President Lee nodded. General Seo, what's our military situation? General Seo activated a holographic display showing human space. Red dots showed Council ships moving closer to human worlds. We have 300 active warships plus defense platforms around our major worlds. The Council is bringing at least 5,000 ships, maybe more. On paper, we can't win. On paper, President Lee repeated. What about off paper? The general smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Off paper, we have some advantages they don't know about. Our ships are faster and more flexible. Our weapons use technology they've never seen. And we have something they've forgotten about. Which is, we're humans. When humans get pushed into a corner, we don't just fight. We get creative. Engineer. Wan Siknam spoke up. Madam President, I need to tell you about Project Shield Wall. Everyone turned to look at him. Wan Sik was usually quiet, but now he looked excited and nervous at the same time. For the past 10 years, we've been building hidden defense platforms throughout human space. They look like asteroids, old ship parts, space junk, but they're actually powerful weapons. The Council has no idea they exist. How many? The President asked. Over 1,000. Each one can destroy multiple enemy ships. Around the table, people started to look hopeful for the first time. There's more, Wansik continued. We've also been working on new ship designs, ships that can separate into smaller fighters, ships that can hide in gas clouds, ships that can repair themselves during battle. Ambassador Hee-Jin Choi had been quiet until now. She was Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, and she knew the aliens better than anyone. Madam President, I need to ask the hard question. Are we really going to fight? These are the most powerful species in the galaxy. If we lose fighting, we die free. President Lee replied. If we surrender, we become slaves. That's not really a choice, is it? No, ma'am, it's not. In that case, I volunteer to deliver our response to the Council personally. Dr. Chang looked worried. Ambassador, they might kill you for bringing bad news. Let them try. I've been dealing with these aliens for 20 years. They think they understand humans, but they don't. They think we're like them, that we'll always choose the safe path. They're about to learn how wrong they are. President Lee stood up. I'm calling for a vote. All in favor of rejecting the Council's demands? Every hand in the room went up. Not one person voted to surrender. Then it's decided. Ambassador Choi, prepare to deliver our response. General Seo, mobilize all our forces. Dr. Chang, I want you to work on ways to hurt them that don't involve direct fighting. Wansik, activate your hidden platforms, but keep them secret until we need them. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Kim's voice came through the communication system. Madam President, we're detecting more Council ships. The fleet heading our way is bigger than we thought. Maybe 10,000 ships? 10,000 ships. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. Admiral, are you afraid? President Lee asked. There was a pause. Then Kim's voice came back, strong and clear. No, ma'am. I'm angry. And angry humans are very dangerous humans. 3 hours later, Ambassador Choi stood on the deck of a small human ship, approaching the massive Council fleet. The alien ships were beautiful and terrifying. Some looked like living creatures. Others were geometric shapes that hurt to look at. The largest one was called the World Render, and it was bigger than most cities. The crystal being, Supreme Arbitrator Velteran, appeared on her screen again. Human Ambassador, have you come to accept our generous terms? Hee-Jin looked directly at the alien. I've come to deliver humanity's response to your demands. Speak. The answer is no. The alien's crystal body flashed with surprised light. No? You cannot say no. No species has ever refused tribute. Well, now one has. Humanity does not kneel. We do not surrender. We do not become slaves. Not today, not ever. You are making a mistake that will cost your species everything. Maybe. But we'd rather die free than live as slaves. If you want our tribute, come and take it. But know this. Humanity has never lost a war when our survival was at stake. We won't start now. The alien was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was full of cold anger. So be it. You have chosen extinction. War Prime Kethmora, begin the attack. Another alien appeared on screen. This one looked like a giant insect covered in metal armor. Its voice sounded like grinding machinery. It will be my pleasure, Supreme Arbitrator. Human, your species will serve as an example to others who might think of defying the Council. Good luck with that, Hee-Jin replied. You're going to need it. As her ship turned to head back to human space, she sent a message to all human worlds. They rejected our refusal. All fleets prepare for battle. Show them what humans do when threatened. Behind her, the massive alien fleet began to move. 10,000 ships, armed with weapons that could destroy planets, heading toward Earth and the human colonies. But ahead of her, human ships were moving too. Smaller ships, faster ships, ships carrying weapons and ideas the Council had never seen before. The war for humanity's freedom was about to begin, and despite being outnumbered 30-1, every human in the galaxy was ready to fight. War Prime Kethmora stood in the command center of the World Render, watching the human colonies grow larger on his screens. His ship alone was bigger than most human cities. Behind him, 10,000 council ships moved in perfect formation. This would be easy. War Prime, his second officer reported. The humans have 300 ships defending their outer colonies. Should we simply destroy them? Kethamora's insect-like face showed what might have been a smile. No. First, we offer them one last chance to surrender. I want the galaxy to see that the Council is merciful. He opened a communication channel to the human fleet. A human face appeared on his screen. Admiral Dae-Ho Kim. Human Commander, this is War Prime Kethamora of the Galactic Council. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Admiral Kim looked tired, but his eyes were hard as steel. War Prime, this is Admiral Kim of the Human Defense Fleet. We have a counteroffer. You are in no position to make offers. Sure we are. Here's our offer. Turn around and go home. Pretend this never happened, because if you start this fight, you're not going to like how it ends. Kethamora's laugh sounded like metal scraping against metal. You have 300 ships, I have 10,000, your offer is rejected. Your choice, Kim replied. Don't say we didn't warn you. The human ships spread out in a loose formation that made no sense to Kethamora. They weren't lined up for battle. They weren't protecting anything important. They just scattered like leaves in the wind. Begin the attack, Kethamora ordered. The Council fleet opened fire. Energy beams that could melt mountains shot toward the human ships. But something strange happened. The human ships didn't try to block the attacks. Instead, they simply weren't there when the beams arrived. Report, Kethamora demanded. Sir, the human ships are moving in impossible patterns. They're dodging our attacks before we fire them. That's impossible, but it was happening. The human ships danced between the energy beams like they knew where. Each shot would go before it was fired. Captain Una Park sat in her fighter, watching her computer screen. The aliens had powerful weapons, but they were slow and predictable. Human computers could calculate where each shot would go and move out of the way. All ships, begin attack pattern Alpha, she announced. The human ships suddenly accelerated to speeds that should have crushed their crews. But human engineering had solved that problem years ago. They shot toward the alien fleet like angry wasps. And then something happened that made Kethamora's blood run cold. Each human ship suddenly split apart. What looked like one ship became 5 smaller fighters. His 300 enemy ships had just become 1,500. Impossible, he roared. Ships cannot divide themselves. But human ships could. Engineer Wansik Nam had designed them that way. One ship that could become many ships when needed. The aliens had never seen anything like it. The smaller human fighters swarmed the alien ships. They were too small and too fast for the big alien weapons to target. But their own weapons were perfectly designed to cut through alien armor. Commander Bo-Ra Lim led one squadron of fighters straight at a massive alien battleship. The ship's weapons fired at her, but she was already somewhere else. Her fighters scattered, then came back together, then scattered again. The aliens couldn't predict where they would be. Fire at the engine section, she ordered. 20 small human weapons fired at once. The alien ship's engines exploded, leaving it helpless in space. All across the battlefield, the same thing was happening. The alien ships were too big, too slow, and too used to fighting other big, slow ships. The humans fought like nothing the Council had ever faced, but Kethamora had more surprises coming. Dr. Minzeo Chang had been busy during the past few days. She understood alien biology better than anyone, and she had created something special just for this war. Bo-Ra, this is Dr. Chang. Release Package Beta. Package Beta released, Commander Lim replied. Thousands of tiny devices shot out from the human fighters. They looked harmless like small metal spheres. But when they touched the Vorthak ships, they released something that made Kethamora scream in rage and fear. The devices contained a specially designed virus. Not a virus that would kill. Humans weren't monsters, but a virus that would dissolve the Vorthak's external armor. Within minutes, the proud warrior species found their protective shells melting away. Retreat. All Vorthak ships retreat, Kethamora commanded, but it was too late. Half his personal fleet was already helpless, their crews exposed and vulnerable. The mighty Vorthak, who had conquered dozens of worlds, were fleeing from tiny human fighters. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it was over, Nearly 1,000 council ships were destroyed or disabled. The humans had lost only 30 ships. But the real shock came when the surviving council ships tried to retreat. Engineer Wansik Nam chose that moment to reveal his hidden weapons. All around the battlefield, asteroids and pieces of space junk suddenly came to life. They were Wansik's hidden defense platforms, and they had been waiting for this moment. For 10 years. The platforms opened fire on the retreating council ships. Energy beams more powerful than anything on the human ships cut through the alien fleet. More ships exploded. More aliens died. "This is impossible," Kethamora muttered, watching his great fleet fall apart. "How can primitives fight like this?" "War Prime," his officer reported. "We've lost over 1,000 ships. The humans have lost less than 50. Do we continue the attack?" Kethamora looked at the tactical display. His huge fleet was scattered, damaged, and demoralized. The human ships were still fighting, still moving, still dangerous. "Sound the retreat. All ships fall back to the outer system." As the council fleet limped away, Admiral Kim opened a communication channel. "War Prime, this is Admiral Kim again. We told you that you wouldn't like how this ended. Next time, maybe you'll listen." Across the galaxy, other alien species watched the battle recordings in shock. The mighty council fleet, led by the undefeated Vorthak, had been beaten by a handful of human ships. On Earth, President Lee received the battle report with satisfaction. "Excellent work, Admiral. How are our casualties?" "Light, Madam President. We lost some good people, but far fewer than expected. The aliens fought like they expected us to stand still and let them shoot us." "What's our next move?" "We prepare for their next attack. Because they'll be back, and next time they'll be ready. For our tricks. Then we'll have to come up with new tricks." "Yes, ma'am. Fortunately, humans are very good at that." In his command center, Kethamora stared at the reports of his defeat. Never in his long military career had he lost a battle so completely. The humans had made his great fleet look like amateurs. "Sir," his officer said quietly, "what do we tell the council?" "We tell them the truth. These humans are not like other species. They don't fight like civilized beings. They fight like..." "Like what, sir?" "Like creatures that refuse to lose." The first battle was over. The humans had won. But both sides knew this was just the beginning. The council would return with more ships, better weapons, and new strategies. The question was, would humanity be ready for them? Supreme Arbitrator Velteran's crystal body blazed with fury as he addressed the emergency council session. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from 12 alien species, all of them shocked by news of the defeat. "This is unacceptable," Velteran declared. "A primitive species has humiliated our greatest fleet." War Prime Kethamora explained this disaster. The insect-like Vorthak commander stood before the council, his armor still showing scars from the human virus. "Supreme Arbitrator, the humans fight unlike any species we have encountered. Their ships change shape. Their weapons ignore our defenses. They use biological warfare." "Excuses," hissed Ambassador Sithara of the Nexian Hive. "You had 10,000 ships. They had 300. They had weapons we have never seen before. Technology beyond our understanding." Veltaran's light pulsed, with anger. "Then we will use weapons they have never seen. I hereby authorize the use of planet-killer devices. This is no longer a tribute collection. This is a war of extinction." The council chamber fell silent. Planet killers had not been used in thousands of years. They were weapons that could destroy entire worlds. "Supreme Arbitrator," said Elder Vashati of the Peaceful Luminar, "perhaps we should reconsider. Humanity has shown they can be dangerous, but extinction seems... They have rejected our authority." Veltaran cut him off. "They have defeated our fleet. They must be completely destroyed or other species will think they can do the same. Bring the stellar manipulators. Bring the gravity bombs. Bring the quantum disruptors. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the council." On Earth, President Lee sat in the deep underground bunker that served as humanity's war command center. The news from their spy networks was terrifying. "They're bringing their ancient weapons," reported Intelligence Chief Hanako. "Devices that can make stars explode, bombs that can collapse planets into black holes, weapons that can erase matter itself. Dr. Sung Ho Kang, Earth's top physicist, looked up from his computer. Madam President, we knew this day might come. That's why we started the Prometheus project. Are you sure it's ready? As ready as it can be, but if we use it, there's no going back. We'll change the nature of warfare forever. Better than being extinct, General Seo commented grimly. President Lee nodded. Dr. Kang, authorize the final phase of Prometheus. Admiral Kim, how long until their main fleet arrives? 3 days, ma'am, and it's bigger than before. 50,000 ships including their superweapons. Meanwhile, in the outer reaches of human space, Captain Yuna Park was leading a desperate mission. Human scout ships were racing to evacuate civilians from the border colonies before the Council's planet killers arrived. Transport ships are loading as fast as they can, she reported to Admiral Kim. But we won't get everyone out in time. Do what you can, Captain. Every life saved is a victory. As her ship helped coordinate the evacuation, Yuna watched families fleeing their homes with whatever they could carry. These were people who had spent their lives building new worlds. Now they had to run because aliens wanted humanity to become slaves. Captain, her weapons officer reported, I'm detecting Council scout ships on the outer edge of the system. How many? Just a few. But Captain, they're not normal ships. These are carrying planet-killer weapons. Yuna felt cold fear run through her. All civilian ships, maximum speed to the jump points. Military ships with me. We're going to buy them time. Her small fleet of fighters moved to intercept the Council scouts. They were outnumbered, but they had surprise and human determination. The battle was brief and vicious. Human ships darted between the alien scouts like deadly fish, their weapons cutting through alien hulls. But one of the Council ships got through. A single energy beam shot down toward the planet below. When it hit, the entire world began to crack apart. Millions of people died in seconds as the planet's core destabilized. By all the gods, whispered Yuna's navigator. They really did it. They destroyed a whole world. This news reached Earth within hours. President Lee stood before the global assembly, her face pale but determined. Citizens of Earth and her colonies, she began. Today, the Galactic Council destroyed the world of New Sol. 3 million humans died because we refused to become slaves. This is what we face, an enemy that will destroy entire worlds rather than accept our freedom. The assembly was silent, but she could feel their anger growing. But they have made a mistake. They think fear will make us surrender. They don't understand that fear only makes humans more dangerous. Dr. Kang, activate Prometheus. Deep beneath Earth's surface, machines that had been built in secret for 20 years came to life. Dr. Sung Ho Kang had spent his career studying the fundamental forces of reality, gravity, time, space itself. Now, he was going to weaponize them. Prometheus is online, he reported. All quantum anchors are responding. Dark energy collectors are at full power. What exactly does this thing do? President Lee asked. It manipulates the quantum foam that underlies all reality. We can create controlled tiers in space-time, turn gravitational fields into weapons, make matter exist in multiple dimensions at once. And the risks? If we lose control, we could accidentally destroy the galaxy. And if we don't use it, the Council will definitely destroy humanity. Yes, ma'am. Admiral Kim's voice came through the communication system. Madam President, the main Council fleet has arrived. 50,000 ships, led by the World Render. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Put them through. War Prime Keth Mora appeared on the main screen. His armor had been replaced, but his pride was still wounded from his previous defeat. Humans of Earth. You have seen what happens to those who resist us. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick. President Lee stood up. War Prime, this is President Lee of Earth. We have a message for you and your council. Speak. You want to see what humans do when we're truly threatened? You want to see what happens when you push us too far? Very well. Admiral Kim, show them. Every human ship in the system suddenly began to glow with strange energy. The quantum fields around them started to twist and bend. Space itself began to ripple like water. "What is that?" Kethmora demanded. Admiral Kim's voice was calm and deadly. "That's humanity's answer to your planet killers. We call it the Prometheus effect. We've learned to weaponize reality itself. The first human ship to activate its quantum drive simply disappeared. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone. Then it reappeared inside a council battleship, tearing it apart from within." "Impossible," Kethmora whispered. "Nothing is impossible," Admiral Kim replied. "We just haven't figured out how to do it yet. And we figured out how to do this." More human ships began phase-jumping through space and time. They moved faster than light without using hyperspace. They existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They turned the aliens' own weapons against them by redirecting the energy through quantum tunnels. Commander Bora Lim led a squadron that seemed to dance through the alien fleet. Her ships moved through solid matter, appeared behind enemy vessels, and struck before disappearing again. "Sir," Kethmora's officer reported, his voice shaking. "We've lost 1,000 ships in the first 10 minutes. Our weapons can't target them. They're not following any known laws of physics." "Then we use the ultimate weapon. Activate the stellar manipulator. We'll destroy their sun." The massive device began to charge. If it worked, Earth's sun would explode, destroying the entire solar system. Dr. Chang watched the readings from her laboratory. "They're trying to make our sun go nova. Estimated time to solar explosion, 30 minutes. "Dr. Kang," President Lee said quietly. "It's time." "Yes, ma'am." Activating full Prometheus protocol. Every quantum anchor in human space came online at once. The fabric of reality itself began to sing with power, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what happened when a species that refused to accept the impossible was pushed too far. The real battle was about to begin. The final battle took place near the center of the galaxy, where ancient black holes fed the Council's most terrible weapons. 50,000 alien ships surrounded the small human fleet like a metal storm. War Prime Kethmora stood aboard the World Render, confident that this time there would be no human tricks to save them. "Fire the stellar manipulator," he ordered. The massive weapon charged with enough energy to make a star explode. Its target was Earth's sun. If it worked, humanity's homeworld would burn in seconds. But Admiral Daeho Kim was ready for this. "Dr. Kang, now would be good." On Earth, Dr. Sung Ho Kang activated the final phase of the Prometheus protocol. Every human ship suddenly began to pulse with quantum energy. Space around them started to bend and twist in ways that hurt to look at. "All ships," Admiral Kim announced, "show them what happens when you threaten a species that refuses to accept the impossible." The human ships didn't just move, they tore holes in reality itself. Captain Yuna Park's fighter suddenly existed in 17 different dimensions at once. She could see the alien fleet from angles that didn't exist, attack from directions that had no names. The stellar manipulator fired its star-killing beam, but instead of hitting Earth's sun, the beam passed through a quantum tunnel that Captain Park had opened. The weapon's energy came out right next to the world render, missing it by mere meters. "What just happened?" Kethmora demanded. "Sir, they redirected our weapon through folded space. The star-killer beam went nowhere, but that was just the beginning." Commander Bora Lim discovered that her ship could now move faster than light without entering hyperspace. She simply stepped sideways through dimensions, appearing inside enemy vessels to tear them apart from within. "This is impossible," Kethmora whispered, watching his ships disappear one by one. "Matter cannot behave this way." "Human matter can," Admiral Kim replied over the communication channel. "We've learned to rewrite the rules." The battle raged across space and time. Human ships phased through solid matter, redirected energy weapons through quantum tunnels, and moved through dimensions that the aliens couldn't even detect. Engineer Wansik Nam revealed his greatest secret, a network of quantum anchors hidden throughout the galaxy. "Activating the reality grid," he announced. Suddenly, space itself became humanity's weapon. 1-6 anchors created standing waves in the fabric of reality. Alien ships found themselves aged to dust in seconds, then restored to their component atoms, then rebuilt as something completely different. "Sir," Kethmora's officer reported, "we've lost 20,000 ships in 1 hour. Their weapons don't just destroy us, they're changing what we are." Supreme Arbitrator Veltaran appeared on the communication screen, his crystal body blazing with desperate light. "Use the quantum disruptors. Erase them from existence." The Council's most forbidden weapons came online. These devices could delete matter at the subatomic level, removing things from reality completely. But Dr. Minseo Chang had prepared for this too. "Releasing the reality anchors," she announced. Thousands of small devices shot out from the human ships. When the quantum disruptors fired, the beams hit Chang's anchors instead of human ships. The weapons designed to erase matter instead created new forms of matter that had never existed before. "By the ancient powers," Veltaran gasped. "They're turning our weapons into tools of creation." The tide of battle turned completely when Dr. Kang activated the final component of Prometheus. Every quantum anchor in the galaxy resonated at the same frequency, creating a wave of pure possibility that swept across space. "What is that?" Kethmora demanded, watching the wave approach his fleet. "That's humanity's gift to the galaxy," Admiral Kim replied. "We're rewriting reality to be more flexible, more creative, more human." The wave hit the Council fleet. Ships that had existed for thousands of years suddenly found themselves made of materials that shouldn't exist. Weapons that had conquered entire species became tools for building instead of destroying. Ancient aliens discovered thoughts and feelings they had never experienced before. War Prime Kethmora watched his mighty world render transform around him. The ship designed for war became something beautiful, something creative. His crew of warriors found themselves thinking about art, music, and poetry instead of conquest. "What have you done to us?" he asked, his voice full of wonder instead of rage. "We've shown you what you could be," Admiral Kim answered. "Instead of rulers and slaves, we could all be explorers and creators." But the Supreme Arbitrator was not ready to surrender. In desperation, he activated the Council's ultimate weapon, a device that could cause all the black holes in the galactic center to merge, destroying every star in the galaxy. "If we cannot rule," he declared, "then let everything die." Dr. Kang watched the readings with horror. "He's destabilizing the galactic core. If those black holes merge, the entire galaxy will be destroyed. Can we stop it? Maybe, but we'll have to destabilize the quantum vacuum itself. The risks? Do it." Dr. Kang activated every quantum anchor at once. The fabric of reality tore open in a controlled cascade. Stars died and were reborn in seconds. Space and time twisted into new shapes. The black holes that should have destroyed the galaxy instead became sources of creation, spawning new forms of matter and energy. The effect was catastrophic and beautiful at the same time. Ancient civilizations watched their worlds reshape themselves. Dead planets came back to life. Dying stars renewed their nuclear fires. The galaxy itself became a work of art painted in quantum fire. When the chaos ended, Supreme Arbitrator Veltaran found himself face to face with President Jiwoo Lee. Somehow, through the quantum storm, she had appeared on his command ship. "How?" he whispered. "We learned to walk between dimensions," she replied calmly. "It's just another human skill. Now let's talk about surrender." "Surrender? Your surrender. You started this war. You demanded tribute. You tried to destroy entire worlds. Now you're going to face the consequences." Veltaran looked around his ship. Of his 50,000 vessels, fewer than 1,000 remained. The rest had been transformed, destroyed, or scattered across dimensions that didn't have names. "What are your terms?" he asked quietly. "Simple. The Council is dissolved. The tribute system ends. Every species in the galaxy gets to choose its own path. And humanity becomes the guardian of galactic peace." "You would trust us to follow these terms?" President Lee smiled. "Trust has nothing to do with it. We've rewritten the laws of physics themselves. Reality now favors creativity over destruction, cooperation over conquest. You literally can't go back to the old ways." As if to prove her point, Veltran tried to activate a weapon. Instead of firing, it created a beautiful sculpture of crystalline light. "This is impossible," he muttered. "Nothing is impossible. We just haven't figured out how to do it yet." Ambassador Hyejin Choi materialized on the bridge, stepping out of a quantum portal. "The new Galactic Council is ready for its first session," she announced. "All species welcome, all voices equal, all weapons transformed into tools of creation." War Prime Keth Mora, his armor now shining with patterns of impossible beauty, bowed his head. "Humans of Earth, the Vorthak Empire surrenders. We never knew war could become art." "Now you do," Admiral Kim said, his voice kind but firm. "Welcome to the new galaxy." Across human space, the celebration was loud and joyful, but in the government centers, leaders were already planning for the future. "We won," General Seo said, "but at what cost? We've changed the fundamental nature of reality." "We had no choice," President Lee replied. "They forced us to become something we never wanted to be." Dr. Kang looked up from his quantum readings. "Actually, Madam President, I think we became exactly what we were meant to be. The quantum scars are healing themselves, but they're healing into patterns that favor life, creativity, and cooperation. We didn't break the universe. We made it better." Engineer Won-Sik Nam was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. Reports coming in from everywhere. Former slave species are declaring independence. Warships are turning into exploration vessels. Even the most aggressive species are suddenly interested in art and science instead of conquest. "And the tribute system?" President Lee asked. "Ended forever. No species will ever be forced to serve another again." President Lee walked to the window of her office, looking up at the stars. 50 years ago, humanity had been alone in the universe. Then they had joined a galaxy ruled by fear and force. Now they had become the guardians of a galaxy ruled by hope and possibility. "What happens now?" Dr. Chang asked. "Now we explore, we learn, we help other species find their own paths to freedom, and we make sure that never again will any species have to choose between slavery and extinction." The final message came from the reformed Galactic Council, now headquartered on Earth. "To all species in the galaxy, the age of tribute is over. The age of cooperation has begun. Welcome to a universe where anything is possible." And in the depths of space, where reality had been rewritten by human determination, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if they too were celebrating humanity's victory over those who would have made them slaves. The Council had ordered humanity to pay tribute. Humanity's reply had indeed shattered the stars and rebuilt them into something better.